Hello, today I'm going to be diving back into Moonstone the game, taking a look at a giant cultist for the Loubard and Commonwealth factions with Loubard. Okay, so Lombard, or Loubard, is for Moonstone. He can be part of the Loubard or Commonwealth faction. Around the back, you see the render and what Moonstone's all about. A fantasy skirmish game. Cracking it open. We have a bit of foam, a resin miniature, and his card. So, taking a look at his stats, he's a giant and a cultist. Melee of 3 with a range of 3 inches, so he can reach out and touch people quite happily. Arcane of 3 and +2 evade. That's remarkably good. He has blind faith, so the character may not take harvest or jog actions unless there's a friendly model within 4 inches. Oh, hence the covered eyes. People need to steer him. Sensor chain. If this character deals impact melee damage, then increases damage by +2. And predictable combatant. During a round of combat, before each player selects their card, you must reveal your hand to your opponent. Oh my god, in a game of bluff, that's a terrible thing. Okay. Righteous Fury, 3 energy, once per turn. Character gains 3 energy, 1 melee, 1 arcane, and 1 damage until the end of the turn. So you need other cultists to feed him the energy to be able to get that off, because he only has 2 of his own. Haul for 1, 3-inch range, and works on any 2. Move target 2 inches directly towards this model. And on a catastrophe, this character suffers 3 wounds. If the character is not slain, all models within 3 inches are moved 2 inches directly towards him. That's all models, friends and foe, whether they want to be there or not. He comes on a 40mm round, and his signature is on a sweeping cut. And his signature move is Entangle. So impact damage, so we'll get the bonus from the front of the card. If the opponent plays a high or low guard, it's completely negated. So it won't do any damage at all, but otherwise, falling swing, thrust, sweeping cut, and rising attack will all do damage, and all have that +2 bonus onto them, so that could be a 4, a 2, a 2, and another 4. If the enemy is within 1 inches, it cannot play end step effects, so catches people out. That could be quite good, because there are some people who can escape combat or move away at the end, or other bits and pieces, so prevents that from happening. And he also, in his end step effect, enemy within 1 inch suffers 2 wounds. They lose 2 energy and suffer -2 melee stat until the start of the next turn, or until the end of the turn, sorry. Same thing. That's good, especially because he's got to have somebody with him to steer him. It means potentially you're going to be following up anyway. So he can get in and hamper, and then other people can come in and finish off. Taking a look at the model. There's our 40mm. So 1 sprue. Big gut on the fellow, and carrying this big sensor, or thurible, for those of you. I really like the executioner's hood without the eyes. It's good. Also, the fact they've sculpted the stripes of his pants in. If you're not a painter, you could do this quite easily with contrast or speed paints, or magic paints, whatever they're called, instant paints from scale. So that's handy, having those defined lines on it. Very dainty, very dainty holding there on the chains. I I think I've lost part of the end of the pinky here. In fact, I have. It broke off in the bag. Oh dear. Oh well. I can glue that back on. Generally the foam protects them from that, but it must have been a slight weakness. I could clean it up and then just leave it as a stub of a finger. I'll decide later on. Anyway, get the smoke issuing forth from the thurible. Really nicely done. Slight mold line across this bicep. That will need to be cleaned away. It comes up around the ear and the back of the hood. So minimal cleanup. One's down there as well. They'll need to be sanded or filed back. No air bubbles or miscast parts, so cleanup should be fairly quick. Shame about the fingertip, but c'est la vie. Let's get him built and see how he looks. Alright, I'm back and I have assembled Loubard. Wasn't a difficult assembly, let's face it. It was really just that thurible had to go on the front. I did replace that pinky that had broken off. But as you can see, very nice miniature. I did notice a few more mold lines that will need to be cleaned up when I assemble them. So inner elbows and that sort of thing. But, you know, overall really nice sculpt and beautiful design and decent casting. I would say actually exceptional casting, let's face it. The small bits of cleanup around the smoke and around the arms are minimal at best. So there we have it. If you're interested in a cultist for the Commonwealth or the La Chevalte, then Loubard is probably the way to go. So there we have it, a very delicate looking fellow, nimbly making his way through the world of Moonstone, smashing people over the head with a massive sensor. What's not to like? If you're interested in picking him up for either the Commonwealth or the La Chevalte, definitely there's a lot of different ways you can put your troops together, and he will feature equally well in both. I think leaning into the cultist side, popping him in there with Klaus and some of the other fun cultists, is probably an excellent way to go. Get the extra energy on the go to allow him to really kick off and show what he can do. But let me know what you think below, and whether or not I'm pronouncing La Chevalte correctly. Until then, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.